Welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something a little different today. We're looking at the actual nuts and bolts mechanics of building a wealth engine. Now, if you spend any time online, you know the internet is just full of endless hacks, tricks, and frankly, a lot of bakwas when it comes to getting rich. So much of it sounds so filmy and completely disconnected from reality. But today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're taking a no-nonsense, deeply scientific dive into the actual mechanics of wealth creation. We're going to look at principles that have absolutely stood the test of time, and we're dissecting exactly how a thought inside your head translates into a tangible reality out in the world. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, because we're about to explore a seriously fascinating system.
So let's address the elephant in the room right away. Can just thinking actually make you rich? I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now. It sounds like an unrealistic movie plot, right? Or maybe one of those kind of toxic positivity manifestation trends where the guru tells you to just sit on your couch, close your eyes, vibrate at a high frequency, and just wait for $1 million to literally fall into your lap. Yeah, no. But hold on, don't write it off just yet, because today we're actually going to look at the hard evidence that proves there is a profound biological truth hidden beneath the seemingly magical claim.
Think about this for a second. Why is it that two people can start out in the exact same city, go to the exact same schools, and face the exact same opportunities, yet they end up with completely, wildly different lives? One person gets locked into this endless, exhausting struggle just to make ends meet, while the other goes on to become a millionaire. I mean, is it just pure luck? Did the universe just pick favorites? Or is there actually a hidden, invisible system operating in the background that most of us just completely miss?
To answer that, we really need some proof. And that brings us to a really massive number, 500. Let's rewind back to 1908. A young journalist goes to interview Andrew Carnegie, who, at the time, was literally the richest man in the world. And Carnegie gives this young guy an unbelievable challenge. He says, I want you to spend the next 20 years of your life studying over 500 of the world's most successful people. We're talking inventors, entrepreneurs, titans of industry. Study them and extract the exact formula for their success. Now, that young journalist was Napoleon Hill. He actually took the challenge, and what he discovered over those 2 decades, well, it kind of changed the world forever.
After all that intense research, Hill reached this really bold conclusion, which he published in his 1937 classic book, Think and Grow Rich. He found out that success is absolutely not an accident. There's no luck involved. It follows a precise, repeatable pattern, and that pattern always begins with our thoughts. As he put it, wealth isn't formed in a bank account first, it's forged in the mind. Rich people don't necessarily do different things right out of the gate, they think differently, and that specific way of thinking literally shapes their physical reality.
All right, let's dive into the actual framework of this, starting with steps 1 and 2, desire and faith.
First up, we have to understand that there is a massive, distinct difference between a normal wish and a burning desire. A normal wish is just hoping for success. It's saying, man, I'd really like to be rich one day. Everybody does that. But a burning desire, that is a clear, intense, absolutely undeniable purpose. Take Henry Ford, for example. His dream was to build affordable V8 cars for the everyday person. And at the time, literally everyone, even his own top engineers, told him to his face it was impossible. But his desire was so incredibly strong that he essentially broke the system and relentlessly forced the creation of mass production. It turns out, building actual wealth requires this exact level of intense, unyielding purpose.
And that brings us right into step 2, faith. Now look, faith here doesn't mean just blind belief or wishful thinking. Hill has this famous rule: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Faith in this context operates as a very real, very powerful psychological mechanism. When you truly, deeply believe your goal is already possible, your brain essentially stops generating excuses and starts aggressively hunting for opportunities. If you doubt yourself, your brain only sees the roadblocks. Cultivating this kind of faith literally programs your mind to look for the way forward.
So, how exactly do we build that kind of unshakable faith? That brings us to steps 3 and 4, autosuggestion and knowledge.
Hill called this autosuggestion way back in 1937, but today modern science has a much cooler name for it: neuroplasticity.
Your brain actually has the incredible biological ability to physically rewire itself based on the thoughts you repeat. Through things like daily affirmations and intense visualization, your brain slowly begins to accept these repeated programs as absolute truth. Guys, this isn't magic, it's literally biology. It's exactly why highly successful people constantly reinforce their goals. They are physically building new neural pathways in their heads to support their success.
And this physical rewiring actually changes how you perceive the world around you through something called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. Think of it as a mental bouncer or a filter in your brain. Have you ever decided you wanted to buy a specific car, maybe a red Honda Civic, and suddenly you see that exact car absolutely everywhere you go? The reality of the traffic didn't suddenly change overnight. Your attention changed. Your RAS started filtering for it. When you program your subconscious with auto-suggestion, your RAS wakes up. It starts highlighting every business opportunity, every networking connection, and every single resource related to your goal that you were literally walking right past yesterday.
Okay, so once your brain is actively looking for opportunities, you need step 4, knowledge. But we really need to clear up a massive misconception here. Knowledge alone is not power. General knowledge, like knowing the capital of Uganda or who won the World Series in 1998, that doesn't build wealth. Specialized knowledge, like truly understanding how artificial intelligence works, or how to write precise AI prompts, or how to produce engaging digital content, that is what actually creates value in the real world. Think about Henry Ford again. He wasn't highly formally educated, but he knew exactly how to hire specialized experts and translate their knowledge into real-world action. Knowledge plus action equals success.
Which leads us perfectly to step 5, organized planning.
Let's look at this progression. Dream, plan, execution, result. Think about modern startup culture for a second. Every single successful billion-dollar startup begins with a dream, sure, but it immediately transitions into hardcore market research, product strategy, and customer understanding. That is organized planning, and it acts as the absolutely crucial bridge between your internal desire and external reality. And here is the golden rule for this step, so pay attention. If your plan fails, and it probably will at some point, change the plan but never, ever change the goal. This kind of ruthless adaptability is what separates the winners from the people who just pack up and go home. And that sets up our final and arguably most important piece of the puzzle. Step 6, the power of persistence. Thomas Edison famously conducted over 1,000 totally failed experiments before he finally invented the practical light bulb. But the thing is, he never viewed failure as a final result. As he brilliantly put it, he just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Persistence is actually the secret ingredient that induces faith. When you repeatedly take action despite failing over and over, you're sending this incredibly powerful signal out to the world, and more importantly, to your own subconscious mind, that you are deadly serious. Listen, you aren't failing because of a lack of talent. Most people only fail because they simply decide to stop too early. And modern psychology completely backs this up. The famous psychologist Carol Dweck found that a fixed mindset is terrified of challenges and throws in the towel at the first sign of real friction. But a growth mindset? That mindset sees limitations purely as possibilities. Just look at entrepreneurs like Elon Musk today, tackling nearly impossible, crazy problems like commercial space travel and mass-market electric cars. That is a growth mindset in action. They don't look at a massive wall and see a dead end, they see a complex puzzle that just needs to be solved. Over time, this kind of persistence plays out through the magic of the compound effect. If you consistently apply your specialized knowledge and your organized planning, well, in 1 year, you're going to see some really visible growth. In 5 years, you achieve undeniable expert status. In 10 years, you become an absolute industry leader. It's really not magic, it's just compounding. If you ignore this, you fall victim to random, fleeting thoughts, which create random, chaotic actions, which absolutely guarantee random results. Controlling your direction through sheer persistence is how you guarantee your own destiny.
All right, let's pull all of these pieces together into the final framework, the wealth creation engine.
Here they are, all 6 steps functioning perfectly as a single, well-oiled unit. Desire is what you want. Faith is what you truly believe. Autosuggestion is exactly how you program your mind. Specialized knowledge is what you learn to create value. Organized planning is your tactical system. And persistence is your absolute refusal to stop. Now, the big catch here is that most people get completely stuck right at step 2. They have the dream, and they kind of vaguely believe it'll happen, but they never actually build the specialized knowledge or map out the plan.
But when you link all 6 of these together in order, you create an invisible, virtually unstoppable force.
The absolute crucial takeaway from this explainer today is this simple formula. Wealth creation genuinely does begin in the mind, but it absolutely does not end there. Thinking, that's just the spark to get it going. Action, which is your specialized knowledge and your planning, well, that's the fuel. And persistence is the roaring, heavy-duty engine that keeps you moving forward when that initial burst of motivation inevitably fades away. When you align these 3 specific elements, achieving your goals isn't just a possibility, it basically becomes inevitable.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty vital question to consider today. If wealth truly begins in the form of a thought, and your brain is quite literally a biological machine just waiting to be programmed, is your next level of success sitting in a bank account somewhere, or is it simply waiting inside your own mind, ready to be unlocked by your own focused desire? It's time to take control of that system today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you next time.